The story begins as the hero's party finally arrives at the Demon Lord's castle. After months of preparation, they believe this is the moment they've been waiting for. They studied every ability of the Demon Lord and his commanders, and their leader, Yuga, is confident this time will be different. But the moment they step inside, reality hits them hard. Someone is already waiting. A demon named Yoki calmly blocks their path and informs them that if they want to reach the Demon Lord, they'll have to get past him first. Mikana immediately attacks, but her spell gets brushed aside like it was a warm-up move. Yoki casually calls it feeble, which is never something you want to hear mid-battle. Raven charges next, swinging with full force, but Yoki dodges effortlessly and sends her flying. At this point, the hero's party realizes they may have underestimated the situation badly. As their last hope, Cecilia buffs Yuga with support magic, and Yuga unleashes Excalibur with everything he has. For a moment, it looks impressive, until Yoki responds with Endless Dark, completely overwhelming the attack. In a single strike, the entire hero's party is wiped out. Game over. Or so it seems. Instead of killing them, Yoki looks disappointed. He heals all of them, but his attention lingers on Cecilia a little too long. Before he can process whatever feelings he's having, Demon Lord Knights show up and question why the heroes are still alive. They even call Yoki a pervert for staring, which he quickly denies, very unconvincingly. Rather than killing the heroes, Yoki orders the knights to dump them near a human village. As they leave, Yoki quietly says goodbye to the angel he just met. 1 month later, Yoki reports to the Demon Lord, who complains that the heroes keep coming back and losing, 13 times to be exact. The Demon Lord wonders why Yoki doesn't just kill them. Yoki brushes it off, but when the Demon Lord threatens to send subordinates instead, Yoki steps in, knowing they wouldn't stand a chance. The truth is, Yoki is ridiculously overpowered, but he hides it. He knows the heroes actually have the potential to defeat the Demon Lord, and if he keeps sparing them, things could go wrong, so he decides that next time, things will end properly. When the heroes return, they're more determined than ever, but nothing changes. Their attacks still don't work, and even Yuga's strongest Excalibur strike does 0 damage. Yoki bluntly tells them the truth. They can't win. But instead of finishing them, Yoki makes an offer. If they leave Cecilia behind, he'll let the rest of them pass. Yuga refuses at first, but Mikana points out the painful truth. Yoki could have killed them any time, yet he didn't. The choice becomes clear: one priestess or the entire world. Cecilia makes the decision herself, telling them to go on without her. With heavy hearts, they leave, promising to return. Alone with Yoki, Cecilia prepares to fight, assuming that's what he wants. Her magic does nothing, and Yoki finally stops her just to confess. Yes, the terrifying demon blocking the Demon Lord's castle admits he fell in love at first sight. Cecilia is completely stunned. She rejects him politely, which emotionally destroys Yoki faster than any holy spell ever could. He explains that he was reincarnated from another world, that he's human inside, and that if he defeats the Demon Lord, he'll just be forced to become the next one. So, instead, he chose to do nothing, until he met her. Cecilia tells him that if he truly has a human heart, then he should use his power to help people. She invites him to see the outside world. Sometime later, the Demon Lord is defeated, and the heroes are celebrated as saviors. The kingdom declares a 3-day victory festival. Meanwhile, Yoki removes his demon horn and heads towards the capital. Disguised as a human, Yoki registers at the Adventurers Guild and starts at F rank. The receptionist casually explains the ranking system like it's no big deal, clearly more concerned about not doing extra paperwork during the festival. Yoki begins grinding quests, earning money and ranking up at an insane speed. Rumors spread fast. Eventually, Cecilia finds him and asks him to visit her home. There, she warns him that rising too quickly could attract dangerous political attention from other nations. Yoki reassures her, accidentally confesses again without realizing it, and promises to stay low profile. Then comes the real boss fight, meeting Cecilia's mother. After a very intense test, Yoki passes by proving he respects Cecilia's feelings. In the end, Cecilia allows him to call her by name, and she calls him Yoki in return. For Yoki, this small moment feels like the greatest victory of all. The next day, with Yoki out on another simple adventurer quest, he tracks down a cockatrice and easily dodges all of its deadly laser attacks like he's avoiding raindrops. Once the monster gets close enough, Yoki fires a powerful thunderbolt, instantly turning the terrifying bird into what looks suspiciously like fantasy world fried chicken. After collecting every last feather, he casually completes a quest that was supposed to take an entire week in just one day. As Yoki heads back, he suddenly runs into a familiar face. Seek appears out of nowhere and is shocked to see his former captain alive. Moments later, more of Yoki's old demon subordinates arrive, including the Dullahan Duke and the Harpy Happiness. They're all confused about why Yoki looks completely human now, with no horn or wings in sight. Yoki finally explains everything. He admits that he confessed to Cecilia, got rejected instantly, and decided to live as a human adventurer instead. The demons are stunned, but when Yoki tells them they're free to live their own lives now, they immediately refuse. Instead, they insist on following him so they can see the girl who made their captain abandon demon life. Yoki warns them that blending into human society will be troublesome, but the demons aren't discouraged at all. In the end, Yoki gives in and helps them disguise themselves as humans by removing their demonic features. Unfortunately, this includes stripping Happiness of all her feathers, which earns Yoki a very well-deserved scolding from Cecilia later. Yoki admits his mistake and apologizes, while the demons quietly enjoy watching their overpowered captain suffer. Cecilia invites everyone inside for tea, surprised at how natural the demons look as humans. Duke explains that they all made serious efforts to adapt, and he reveals that Yoki is the reason their demon group was so relaxed back in the Demon Lord's castle. In the past, Yoki constantly refused to work, driving the Demon Lord insane. When Duke once tried to punish him, Yoki blew his head clean off, earning everyone's eternal respect. Suddenly, Yoki realizes that Happiness and Seek are missing. Panicking, the group searches the mansion and finds Seek peacefully sleeping on Cecilia's lap in the courtyard. Cecilia explains that she was watching him play until he got tired and fell asleep. However, Happiness is still nowhere to be found. It turns out that Sophia discovered Happiness and mistakenly recruited her as a new maid. When Yoki tries to correct the misunderstanding, Happiness stubbornly refuses to quit and officially becomes a maid, shocking everyone. After the chaos settles, Cecilia's mother quietly suggests that Yoki takes Cecilia out the next day, since she desperately needs a break. Hearing this, Yoki immediately agrees to the parent-approved date. The next day, Yoki waits nervously at their meeting spot. Cecilia arrives in a disguise, wearing glasses and a different outfit. Yoki is completely off guard and takes a moment to recover, blaming it on the glasses. Cecilia apologizes for the trouble, but Yoki promises it will be the best date ever. The two spend the day walking around the city, visiting shops and admiring sweets. Cecilia excitedly points out cute cakes, flowers, and even cats, while Yoki silently struggles to keep his composure. They stop by a clothing shop where Yoki helps her choose a beautiful red dress, and Cecilia admits that she already feels refreshed just spending time with him. Things take a turn when they run into Yuga and Mikana, who are also on a disguised date. Yuga immediately invites Cecilia to join them, completely ignoring Yoki at first. Mikana, clearly annoyed, tells Yoki to do his best to steal Cecilia away so Yuga will finally pay attention to her instead, then immediately insults him right after. At an accessory shop, Yoki offers to buy Cecilia a gift. He carefully picks out a necklace that suits her perfectly, and Cecilia is genuinely happy. Unfortunately, Yuga ruins the moment by showing off the most expensive accessory in the store and forcibly removing Cecilia's disguise, instantly drawing a massive crowd. Cecilia is swept away by fans, while Yoki gets pushed aside like he doesn't exist. As he searches for her, Yoki runs into Raven, who's being chased by an overly enthusiastic group of girls. Yoki saves him by pointing in a random direction and yelling that the hero is over there, successfully redirecting the crowd. In a quiet alley, Raven finally speaks and reveals that he's insecure about his soft voice. Yoki reassures him, saying everyone has something they don't like about themselves. Touched by Yoki's kindness, Raven asks to be friends, and Yoki accepts before rushing off to find Cecilia. Later, Yoki hears a child crying and reunites with Cecilia while helping a lost boy find his mother. Yoki dramatically declares himself a hero, only to get scolded by Cecilia immediately, which somehow makes the child laugh. The next day, Yoki learns that Cecilia collapsed from exhaustion and caught a cold. Her mother explains that Yuga's reckless behavior exhausted her even more, and Sophia had to forcibly remove him. Yoki is allowed to visit Cecilia, but she's embarrassed about him seeing her room, especially her stuffed bear, which thankfully Sophia hides. Yoki apologizes for overworking her on their date, but Cecilia turns the blame onto him and demands another date as compensation. Yoki instantly accepts and starts dramatically bragging, only to get thrown out by Sophia for being too loud. As Yoki leaves, he runs into Raven again. Raven reveals that he wants to confess to a girl who complimented his voice. Yoki gives him a massive confidence boost, encouraging him to believe in himself. Raven leaves feeling determined, while Yoki suddenly realizes something horrifying. The girl Raven wants to confess to might be Cecilia.
Yoki, realizing he may have made a huge mistake, after encouraging Raven to confess, it suddenly hits him that Raven might actually be his love rival. Yoki's imagination goes completely out of control as he pictures Raven heroically protecting Cecilia and getting closer to her. He panics, but that fantasy quickly shatters when Raven walks past him looking totally crushed and announces that he has given up. Still uneasy, Yoki rushes back to Cecilia's mansion and awkwardly makes an excuse to Sophia, claiming he was worried about Cecilia's condition. Unfortunately, the timing makes him look extremely suspicious. Sophia calmly tells him that Cecilia is resting and asks him to leave for the day. Yoki then nervously asks if Raven had visited earlier. Sophia confirms that Raven did come by, but only to ask for happiness. This instantly clears things up for Yoki. The girl Raven confessed to was not Cecilia, but Happiness. To confirm things, Yoki goes straight to Happiness and bluntly asks if Raven confessed to her. She replies with a firm, "No way," which somehow only makes things more confusing. When Yoki presses for details, she repeats the same answer and suddenly runs off, leaving him with more questions than answers. Unable to let it go, Yoki gathers his former demon comrades to discuss the situation. Duke explains that harpies are often hunted or enslaved because of their beauty, so they naturally become cautious when humans approach them. He also reveals that Happiness joined the Demon Lord's army after Duke saved her from humans who were chasing her. Seek adds that Happiness does not hate humans, pointing out that she became a maid because she genuinely liked the people at Cecilia's mansion. Yoki agrees and mentions that Raven is not a bad person either. Later, Yoki visits the Adventurers Guild and notices Clayman is missing. A receptionist casually reveals that Clayman is actually the Vice Guildmaster, shocking Yoki beyond belief. When he asks where Clayman is, the receptionist whispers that he has been hospitalized. Yoki immediately goes to visit him and learns the unfortunate reason. Clayman explains that it was his wedding anniversary, but he failed to buy a gift and came home late, making his wife furious enough to put him in the hospital. It turns out, Clayman's wife is a former A-rank adventurer, just like him. They were once known as the Invincible Couple of Apathy, a nickname Yoki clearly does not approve of. Yoki offers to heal Clayman, but Clayman refuses, saying this is his chance to be taken care of by his wife. Right on cue, Sophia appears and casually reveals that she is Clayman's wife. After a brief but painful reunion for Clayman, Sophia thanks Yoki for visiting and tells him that Cecilia's fever has gone down. Unfortunately, Cecilia is busy with work that day. When Yoki asks if girls really care about gifts, Sophia assures him that a gift given from the heart always matters. Inspired, Yoki heads out while imagining a peaceful married life with Cecilia, only to question why all his fantasies look suspiciously like scenes from his previous life. He then goes to the knight's dormitory and finds Raven completely depressed. To snap him out of it, Yoki mentions happiness, which immediately gets Raven's attention. Raven explains how he first met Happiness. While patrolling, he saw her being harassed by some men and quickly drove them away. As he left, Happiness thanked him and complimented his soft voice, even saying she envied it. That single moment left a deep impression on him. Yoki comforts Raven, explaining that Happiness has trauma involving humans and that it may be too early for him to give up. The two head out together to buy gifts. Yoki happily finds the necklace he wants for Cecilia, while helping Raven choose a gift for Happiness. Raven worries that a present might scare her, but Yoki confidently explains that heartfelt gifts always reach people. Encouraged, Raven buys the accessory. While leaving the shop, they run into Mikana, who teases them for shopping together. The conversation quickly shifts to love problems, and Mikana ends up revealing a painful secret about the heroes' party. She explains how they were repeatedly defeated in the Demon Lord's castle, and how she was the one who convinced the group to leave Cecilia behind to protect Yuga's reputation. She believes this is why Yuga resents her. Raven apologizes for his own role in the decision, and Yoki tells Mikana that running from the issue will only make things worse. Encouraged, she decides to face Cecilia honestly someday. With renewed determination, Raven decides to meet Happiness again. At Cecilia's mansion, Duke aggressively confronts him, clearly suspicious of his intentions. Raven finally gathers the courage to speak from his heart, admitting that he doesn't fully understand Happiness yet, but truly wants to know her better. Duke steps aside, revealing he was only testing him. In front of Happiness, Raven apologizes for rushing things before and offers her the gift. Instead of confessing again, he asks if they can start by being friends. Happiness accepts, agreeing to take things slowly.
Sometimes later, Yoki, feeling completely depressed because he hasn't seen Cecilia for an entire week, suggests visiting Cecilia's mansion, but Yoki already knows she isn't there. The heroes' party has been busy. Cecilia is traveling to heal the wounded, Raven has become the commander of the knights, Mikana is working for the royal court, and Yuga is handling dangerous missions. Everyone is scattered, and Yoki quietly blames himself for it. Just when his mood hits rock bottom, Happiness arrives with good news. Cecilia will return to the mansion this afternoon. Yoki instantly cheers up because today is finally the day he plans to give her the necklace. While waiting, Yoki wanders around the city. An old fortune teller warns him that today will be the worst day of his life, but Yoki ignores her completely. After all, how could today be bad when he's meeting the woman he loves? His perfect day immediately starts falling apart. At a sweet shop, the usual clerk is gone, replaced by her overly enthusiastic, muscular brother wearing a pink apron. Yoki buys some pastries, but they get completely crushed by the man's powerful grip. At least they still taste good. Small victories matter. Next, Yoki nearly gets beaten up after bumping into a rough-looking guy. Right after that, he almost steps in something unpleasant on the street. Then a kid crashes into him, drops his meat skewer, and starts crying. Feeling bad, Yoki buys him 2 skewers to calm him down. The child leaves happily, and that's when Yoki realizes his money pouch has been stolen. Using his speed, Yoki catches the thief and knocks him out. Problem solved. Until Yuga appears at the worst possible moment and mistakes Yoki for the criminal. Without listening, Yuga attacks, and Yoki ends up surrounded by knights and thrown into prison. Only then does Yoki admit the fortune teller might have been right. In jail, Duke shows up and reassures Yoki that Raven is investigating. Soon the truth comes out, Yoki is declared innocent, and Yuga invites Yoki to a restaurant as an apology. There, Yuga admits Raven scolded him harshly using written notes. Yuga then asks Yoki about his relationship with Cecilia and even begs for advice on how to become her friend. Yoki refuses, knowing he's his love rival. When Mikana's name comes up, Yuga claims Mikana hates Cecilia and accuses her of abandoning her in the past. This sparks a serious argument. Yoki snaps and tells Yuga the truth. Cecilia chose to stay behind herself, and Yuga was the one who made the final decision. Raven silently backs this up. Overwhelmed, Yuga finally breaks down and admits his guilt. Yoki tells him to stop blaming others and act like a real hero.
After calming down, Yuga decides to apologize to Mikana properly. He drags Yoki and Raven along, but barges into Mikana's room while she's changing, leading to absolute chaos. Still, Yuga sincerely apologizes and asks her to scold him like she used to. Mikana does exactly that very enthusiastically, and their friendship is finally repaired. With that resolved, Yoki rushes to Cecilia's mansion. Along the way, his bad luck suddenly turned into good luck. The fortune teller says his fate has changed, the sweet shop clerk apologizes and gives him free pastries, and even the skewer kid's family rewards him. At the mansion, Cecilia warmly welcomes Yoki. They talk about everything that happened, happiness and Raven becoming friends, and the heroes' party reconciling. Soon, Yuga, Mikana, and Raven arrive to personally apologize to Cecilia for abandoning her in the past. Cecilia forgives them, explaining how hard it was for them to fight without a healer, and she never blamed them. Later, Yoki and Cecilia walk together in the forest. Cecilia thanks him for helping everyone reconcile and for becoming part of her world. Finally, Yoki gives her the necklace he's been saving since their first meeting. Cecilia happily accepts it, while Yoki ends up crying instead. Cecilia finds it amusing and admits that her life has been more fun since meeting him. Then we see another village where bandits attack and terrorize the people. Suddenly, a mysterious swordsman appears, effortlessly killing the bandits, but he looks bored.
A few days later, Yoki and Seek travel with Cecilia to a village that was recently attacked by bandits. They ride together in a carriage, and Yoki is clearly unhappy because Seek tagged along, ruining his chance to spend some alone time with Cecilia. Seek, on the other hand, is way too excited about the ride, enjoying every bump like it's a theme park attraction. Cecilia apologizes for dragging them along, but suddenly the carriage jolts, making her feel sick. Worried, Yoki checks on her, and Seek immediately offers one of his secret pixie potions. Thankfully, it works, and Cecilia feels much better. Seek smugly brags about being useful, which quickly turns into another childish argument with Yoki. Cecilia watches them bicker and smiles, relieved she won't be alone on this mission. When they arrive, the village is badly damaged. The village chief greets Cecilia with gratitude and is surprised to see her companions. After she explains that Yoki and Seek are skilled healers, the chief trusts them and leads them to the shelter. The trio spends hours healing the injured villagers together. Yoki quietly watches Cecilia work, impressed by how sincerely she dedicates herself to helping others. During the healing, Yoki notices something strange. Despite the bandit attack, no one in the village actually died. The chief explains that the bandits suddenly fled after a mysterious man attacked them. While Yoki thinks about this, he notices Cecilia growing exhausted. When she refuses to rest, Yoki secretly uses magic to put her to sleep. The villagers panic at first, but he quickly explains that he only forced her to rest. When Cecilia wakes, she is clearly upset. Yoki apologizes for acting without her consent, but explains that pushing herself further could have seriously harmed her. She admits he has a point, but asks him not to do something like that again. Yoki promises, and when he tells her that everyone has already been healed, she thanks him warmly, making him blush instantly. Soon after, the village chief asks Cecilia to check on a girl named Teal, who lives on the outskirts of the village and suffers from a chronic illness. The group visits her home, where they find Teal calmly reading. When she starts coughing, Seek gives her pixie medicine. She hesitates at first, but Yoki reassures her that Seek is reliable, even if he looks like an airhead. The medicine works quickly, and Teal feels better. Teal believes her recovery is thanks to the village's local deity. She explains that there is a statue outside the village that protected her during the bandit attack. She even recalls a childhood memory where the statue glowed with dark power and saved her from wolves. While Teal firmly believes it's a god, Yoki and Cecilia grow uneasy. They visit the statue and immediately realize it's actually a demon gargoyle. Before they can react, the statue comes to life and attacks. Seek defeats it easily, and Yoki demands answers. The gargoyle explains that it was created to protect a shrine, but was stolen by bandits. When the bandits attacked the village, it retaliated and drove them away. Since then, the villagers mistakenly worshipped it as a deity. Yoki realizes the gargoyle means no harm and apologizes for disturbing it. Later that night, Yoki deliberately sends Seek away so he can walk alone with Cecilia.
The two talk about the gargoyle, and Cecilia admits she was worried but trusts Yoki's judgment. As the conversation dies down, an awkward silence follows. Suddenly, Cecilia trips, and Yoki catches her just in time. Both get flustered and quickly look away, pretending nothing happened. Their quiet moment is cut short when bandits attack the village again. Yoki and Seek jump into action, easily defeating them. When smoke rises from the gargoyle's shrine, Yoki sends Seek to check on it. After finishing the remaining bandits with a powerful spell, Yoki notices Seek hasn't returned and rushes after him with Cecilia. At the shrine, they find Seek injured and a man standing over the gargoyle. Cecilia identifies him as Miller, a hero from another empire. Seek explains that Miller attacked the gargoyle despite it protecting Teal. Yoki tries to stop him, but Miller insists on killing all demons and even says he wants war. Yoki attacks with magic, but Miller's sword absorbs every spell. Cecilia warns that the weapon is a magic-eating sword. Despite using stronger and stronger magic, Yoki's attacks keep getting absorbed. However, the sword eventually reaches its limit and shatters. Yoki defeats Miller, but lowers his guard, allowing Miller to injure Teal and escape. Furious with himself, Yoki loses control and transforms into his true demon form. He hunts Miller down in the forest and overwhelms him completely. But just as he's about to kill him, Yoki remembers Cecilia and stops himself, sparing Miller's life and leaving him defeated. Yoki returns to the village in human form, where Cecilia immediately heals his injuries and breaks down in relief. The next day, they discuss how to heal the gargoyle. Since demons aren't allowed in Minerva, Yoki turns the gargoyle into a stone statue so they can secretly take him along. Back at Cecilia's house, Teal starts working as a maid. However, when she asks to place the stone gargoyle inside the house, Celia bluntly refused, crushing Teal's hopes completely.
After a few days, Teal visiting the gargoyle, now named Guy, inside Yoki's room. As she finishes cleaning him, she suddenly starts coughing again. Guy worries and tells her to rest, but Teal ignores it and asks where Yoki is. Guy explains that Yoki has gone to the royal castle. At the palace, King Darts officially summons Yoki and Cecilia to thank them for saving Daga's village from the bandits and the rogue hero Miller. At first, the king acts overly formal and intimidating, but he quickly drops the act and starts talking casually, much to Yoki's surprise. The king offers them a reward. Cecilia politely refuses, saying she only did what was right. When it's Yoki's turn, he boldly declares that even the king cannot grant his wish. The king tries guessing money, women, or even the throne, but Yoki rejects all of them. Finally, Yoki shamelessly announces that his wish is Cecilia's love. The room freezes. The king bluntly says that's the one thing he absolutely cannot give, ending the meeting in shock. After returning home, Cecilia immediately scolds Yoki for confessing in front of the king. Cecilia's mother, Celia, decides Yoki needs punishment and bans him from seeing Cecilia for 1 month. Cecilia softly protests, clearly already missing him, so the punishment is reduced to 2 weeks. Yoki is dragged out of the mansion by Happiness, completely defeated. Back in Yoki's room, Teal clings closely to Guy, treating him like her personal guardian. Guy feels awkward but gently reminds her not to overwork herself. When Yoki returns, he complains about his punishment, and Guy suggests that the only way forward is to prove himself worthy of Cecilia. Motivated, Yoki heads to the Adventurers Guild and starts taking on difficult quests non-stop to raise his rank. 2 weeks pass. Cecilia unknowingly pours an extra teacup while sitting alone in the garden, realizing she's been thinking about Yoki. Her mother teases her while Sophia mentions that Yoki has been working extremely hard during his punishment. That night, Yoki returns to his room exhausted. Guy suddenly reveals his true gargoyle form, showing deep cracks spreading across his stone body. He calmly explains that he only has a few days left. Guy asks Yoki to take care of Teal after he's gone, revealing that her illness has been getting worse. Yoki promises to protect her and refuses to let Guy die, calling him a valuable decoration he refuses to lose. Yoki contacts Duke, who casually explains that gargoyles can be repaired by feeding them magic ore. Relieved, Yoki rushes out, but before he can act, Cecilia arrives with bad news. Teal's condition has suddenly worsened. At Teal's bedside, Seek explains that her fever won't go down, and magic can't cure the illness itself. The only solution is evening grass, a rare herb that doesn't grow nearby. Yoki immediately volunteers to get it. He also remembers that he still needs magic ore for Guy. At the guild, they learn both magic ore and evening grass are out of stock. Just as things seem hopeless, Clayman offers a commission inside a magic ore mine where both items can be found. Yoki accepts without hesitation. After 2 days of travel, Yoki, Cecilia, Clayman, and Sophia reach the mine. They wait until morning because monsters inside become stronger at night. Their target is a rock eater, a monster immune to magic that feeds on magic ore. The client also wants its hide intact, making the mission even harder. Inside the mine, the rock eater attacks. Yoki and Cecilia restrain it with earth and chain magic, while Clayman covers Sophia with protective paper spirits. Sophia dives inside the monster and destroys it from within. During the fight, smaller golems break off, forcing Yoki to punch them directly when magic fails. After defeating the monster, they successfully gather evening grass. That night, despite orders to rest, Yoki sneaks out. Cecilia catches him immediately, already knowing what he planned. She gives him the evening grass and tells him to hurry back home. Yoki transforms into his demon form and flies away. Back home, Yoki gives the grass to Seek for Teal and rushes to Guy. The gargoyle barely responds, but Yoki forces him to eat the magic ore, reminding him that Teal is still fighting because she believes in him. The magic ore restores Guy's body completely, and he rushes to Teal's room, waking her gently. Seeing her safe fills him with relief. As dawn arrives, Yoki quietly returns to the others. Later, as they travel back, Yoki rests his head on Cecilia's lap. She softly says this is his reward for working so hard.
A few days later, Yoki is wandering around town, bored and annoyed because Cecilia is too busy to meet him. He soon runs into Clayman, who is struggling to buy a proper wedding anniversary gift for his wife, Sophia. Seeing this, Yoki decides to help him look for something nice. While browsing the shop, Yoki jokingly suggests cute items, but Clayman refuses, saying he already found what he wanted. While Clayman is done shopping, Yoki spots a jet-black coat, a bat-shaped helmet, and a sword that perfectly fits his Chunibyo fantasies. Excited, he buys the outfit, puts it on immediately, and declares himself the Black Thunder Magic Swordsman. Although Clayman is clearly embarrassed, Yoki takes the role seriously and asks him to bring difficult commissions. At the Adventurers Guild, Clayman introduces Yoki as an old friend. Despite the receptionist being confused by Yoki's strange appearance, she accepts Clayman's request and offers him 4 A-rank quests. Shockingly, Yoki accepts all of them at once. He quickly completes the missions, including slaying a dragon and delivering its heart to save a sick child. Later that night, Yoki confronts the phantom thief Envy and her gang while they are attempting to steal Valentine's Day chocolates from a warehouse. Using lightning magic and his sword, Yoki defeats envy, jealousy, and heartburn, successfully protecting the stolen goods. When the royal knights arrive, Yoki escapes dramatically, but Duke immediately sees through his disguise and scolds him for his embarrassing behavior. The next day, Yoki receives his reward, and Clayman explains that Envy's group were once normal adventurers who became corrupted by a strange magic book. As Valentine's Day approaches, the girls around town begin preparing chocolates, including Cecilia, who quietly makes gifts for the orphanage. On Valentine's Day, Yoki wakes up full of hope, but ends up watching everyone else receive chocolates instead. Clayman proudly shows off Sophia's handmade chocolates, Duke receives a gift from his junior knight, and even Yuga gets overwhelmed with presents. Yoki, growing more jealous and depressed, wanders the town feeling completely left out.
Suddenly, Envy escapes prison and returns using a giant golem to steal all Valentine's chocolates, claiming revenge for lonely people. As chaos spreads through the town, Yoki steps in to stop her. During the battle, Envy reveals her past heartbreak and hatred toward Valentine's Day. After a fierce fight, Yoki destroys the magic book powering the golem and saves everyone's gifts. In the end, Envy realizes that gifts made with love still matter, no matter who gives them. After everything settles, Cecilia finally gives Yoki her gift. Although most people received cookies, Yoki alone receives a special cake, making him realize he was noticed after all. After a few days later, Merchant Guild requesting help after multiple cargo thefts in the port town of Fremere. Yoki accepts the commission immediately, clearly more excited about the port town than the investigation itself. Cecilia cannot join the mission due to work, so Yoki heads out with Raven and Happiness. Raven is surprised to see Happiness along for the trip, but Yoki explains that her powerful magic makes her an important asset. Once they arrive in Femir, Yoki goes to meet the commissioner while Raven and Happiness question the sailors. The sailors claim they are innocent and say they have no memory of the thefts. The only thing they remember is hearing a beautiful singing voice before blacking out. This leads to rumors about a mermaid, which terrifies the sailors. Raven confidently declares that he will defeat the mermaid and protect the town. Later, a man approaches Raven and claims he saw sailors hiding stolen cargo near a cove and also spotted a mermaid. Though suspicious, the group decides to investigate. Raven tells Happiness to stay behind, but she refuses and follows them anyway. At the cove, they find crates matching the stolen cargo. Suddenly, a mermaid named Yoki appears and uses her song to put them to sleep. Happiness counters the song with her own voice, breaking the spell. Yoki begs for mercy and explains that she was forced to obey humans who kidnapped her friend. Raven initially tries to kill Yoki, but Happiness steps in to protect her. Yoki convinces Raven to listen to Yoki's story instead of acting on hatred. After hearing her out, Raven agrees to continue the investigation. Soon, the real culprits arrive, revealing themselves as humans who were using the mermaid to steal cargo. The group defeats them and rescues Misaki, Yoki's captured friend. With everything resolved, Misaki thanks them and sings a harmless song. Then, Raven apologizes to Yoki for doubting her. Overcome with emotion, Yoki suddenly kisses Raven, leaving him completely stunned. Before he can even react, Happiness steps in and kisses Raven as well, shocking him even more and leaving Yoki utterly confused. Later, Teal delivers a message from Cecilia to Yoki and thanks him for his help. Once outside, Teal celebrates secretly, revealing magic crystals she brought for Guy, clearly showing how much she cares for him. Yoki then visits Cecilia's mansion for tea. They share a calm moment, but Yoki quickly runs out of things to say and leaves, wondering if their relationship will ever move forward. Conflicted, he seeks advice from Duke, who bluntly tells him that he's being too timid and can't expect progress without truly understanding Cecilia. Duke also firmly warns him to stop stalking her, which Yoki reluctantly agrees to. Duke then pulls Makana into the conversation, and later Raven joins as well. Makana explains how essential Cecilia was to the heroes' party, handling conflicts, paperwork, intelligence, and finances, while keeping everyone together emotionally. Through this, Yoki slowly realizes just how incredible Cecilia really is. Their conversation is interrupted when Cecilia herself appears, dragging Makana away for gossiping behind her back. Afterward, Raven takes Yoki to the orphanage Cecilia supports, where Yoki finally learns Cecilia's nickname from the children, the Holy Mother. Encouraged by Raven, Yoki decides to grow closer to Cecilia by taking a mission together. He proudly invites her on a quest to clear undead from a haunted mansion, hoping to play the hero. Unfortunately for him, Makana points out the obvious flaw. Cecilia is a priestess who specializes in undead, making his plan completely backward. Despite this, the group proceeds with the mission. Cecilia leads the fight, effortlessly purifying waves of undead. When they face the undead king, Yoki mocks him too far, earning disapproval from everyone. In the end, Cecilia gently listens to the undead king's lingering attachment to his crown and mercifully sends him to rest using Heaven's Rondo. The spell drains Cecilia completely. Seeing this,
Yoki quietly carries her out of the mansion, creating an unexpectedly tender moment between them. Later, Makana refuses to score his performance, telling him it's better if he continues improving naturally. Finally, during another visit, Cecilia explains the true origin of her nickname. Back in the heroes' party, Yuga praised her for cooking, managing finances, gathering information, and taking care of everyone, just like a mother. Before she knew it, he started calling her Mom, and the name stuck. Embarrassed, Cecilia begs Yoki not to laugh, but he can't help smiling at the story, realizing once again just how warm and kind she really is. Next day, Guy asking Yoki for help because he wants to start working instead of living as a freeloader. Since Teal keeps spending money bringing him magic ore, he decides to become an adventurer. Yoki helps him register at the Adventurers Guild while acting as his strange alter ego, the Black Thunder Magic Swordsman. Soon after, Cecilia appears and quickly figures out Yoki's identity, but she decides to help them with their first commissions. Their first job is to find a missing cat, which Yoki quickly tracks down using his magic. After that, Guy starts learning normal adventurer work, like gathering herbs and defeating goblins. He completes the task successfully and earns his first reward, realizing how hard Teal must have been working for him. Later, Guy decides to continue working on his own. Meanwhile, Yoki and Cecilia take on an A-rank mission to investigate ancient ruins. During the mission, Yoki uses an illusion spell to distract monsters so they can safely pass without damaging the ruins. That night, while camping, Cecilia quietly remembers a conversation with the king. A powerful noble from a neighboring country has proposed an arranged marriage to her, but she has already refused the offer. After finishing the investigation, they return to the guild and submit their report. When they go back home, they find Teal waiting worriedly because Guy has been gone for several days. When he finally returns, she happily hugs him after learning he has become an adventurer. At the end, Yoki feels embarrassed about acting like the Black Thunder Magic Swordsman for days, but Cecilia says his abilities were actually very useful and asks to team up again. Hearing that, Yoki proudly puts his mask back on once more. Raven has been feeling insecure because he hasn't been able to get closer to happiness, so Yoki and Duke plan a group outing to cheer him up. During the trip, they visit a tourist spot with statues of the heroes' party, which embarrasses Raven and Cecilia since they are part of it. While relaxing afterward, the vice commander and his men show up and mock Raven for his weakness, deeply hurting him and making him run away. Yoki chases him down and encourages him to stop running from his problems. Raven opens up about his fears, especially about whether he's strong enough to accept happiness's secret. After hearing Yoki's words, he regains his confidence and returns to the group, promising himself that he will become someone worthy of her. A few days later, Happiness suddenly disappears, leaving behind a note asking Raven to meet her in a forest after 1 month. The group realizes she plans to reveal her true identity, even though it could risk everything. Despite the danger, they support her decision. During this time, Raven grows stronger mentally and even stands up to the vice commander, earning his respect. When the month passes, he finally meets Happiness in the forest. There, she reveals her true harpy form and confesses her fears. After a brief moment of shock, Raven accepts her completely, and they both confess their love. Right after this emotional moment, it's revealed that Raven attacking Yoki earlier was just a prank planned with Happiness, which annoys Yoki and leads him to punish them playfully. At the same time, Cecilia is dealing with her own issue. She remembers her arranged marriage proposal but chooses to hide it from Yoki because he is already worried about his friends. However, her mother realizes that Cecilia is hiding it because she has feelings for Yoki, even though she refuses to admit it. Raven and Happiness become closer, while Cecilia quietly struggles with her feelings, and Yoki continues supporting everyone around him. Yuga getting surrounded by excited fans. As the situation gets out of control, Yoki grabs him and escapes, throwing him into a carriage and ordering it to move. Inside, Yoki gets frustrated and says he will never travel with Yuga again because he keeps causing trouble everywhere. Meanwhile, Cecilia is being prepared for a political marriage meeting. The maids dress her in a noble outfit, even though she feels uncomfortable wearing it. When Makana visits her, she is shocked to learn that Cecilia is attending a marriage interview by the king's order. Cecilia makes it clear that she has no intention of marrying. A few days later, Cecilia meets Soleil Greaseheart, a noble from another country. Instead of forcing the proposal, Soleil talks about peace between nations and how their marriage could strengthen ties. Cecilia refuses for now, so Soleil suggests they spend time together while learning about each other's countries, and she agrees. At the same time, Yuga and Yoki arrive at a mine where workers discovered a nest of extremely cute monsters. Since no one wants to harm them, the workers ask for help. Yuga accepts confidently, but has no plan and leaves everything to Yoki, which annoys him. Later, Cecilia and Soleil visit an orphanage. Soleil interacts with the children and shares how joining the heroes party changed him. Cecilia indirectly talks about Yoki, showing she admires him. Both of them reveal they have someone they care about, making the marriage situation more complicated. That night, Cecilia feels confused because she couldn't properly reject Soleil and starts thinking about Yoki. Meanwhile, Yoki, worried about her, rushes back but gets attacked by a knight who mistakes him for a demon. More knights arrive, and after realizing he's now a wanted target, Yoki is forced to retreat. He begins to doubt if he should stay away from Cecilia because of his identity. The next day, Yoki secretly returns, injured. Cecilia immediately heals him, but Soleil arrives and asks who he is. Yoki introduces himself as just an adventurer, while Soleil openly declares that he is proposing to Cecilia. Hearing this, Cecilia apologizes for not telling him earlier. However, Yoki quietly accepts and decides to leave, hiding his feelings. Just then, Raven and Duke stop him and remind him that he is now on the wanted list, forcing him to cooperate. Sometime later, the knight's talking about the mysterious Fist of the Azure Flame who has been causing trouble in Minerva. Although he tries to help people, his sloppy actions only create more problems, damaging the guild's reputation. Yoki decides to take responsibility and capture him, partly to clear the name of the Black Thunder magic swordsman, and also to distract himself from Cecilia's marriage situation. Following Yoki's plan, he patrols with Raven while secretly handling people's problems properly, proving that the magic swordsman is different from the troublemaker. During this time, Yoki admits he rushed back to the city after hearing about Cecilia's marriage interview, but now feels like he has no right to interfere, especially because he is a demon. But Raven reminds him that Cecilia truly cares about him. Meanwhile, Cecilia feels guilty for hurting Yoki and realizes she hasn't handled the situation properly. Soon, the Fist of the Azure Flame appears again while chasing a thief. Cecilia confronts him and points out that his actions are causing harm instead of helping. Yoki arrives and reveals himself as the real magic swordsman, making it clear they are not the same person. The Fist then challenges Yoki to a duel, revealing that he admires him and copied his style to gain recognition. During the fight, Yoki explains that he doesn't act for praise, but simply follows his own feelings. Hearing this, the Fist understands his mistake. Cecilia stops the fight and makes both of them reflect on their actions. The Fist apologizes, and Yoki takes the blame publicly, claiming he captured the culprit and promising compensation to fix everything. Later, Yoki and Cecilia spend time together and talk honestly about their feelings. Yoki confesses that he doesn't want to lose her and asks her to be with him. Cecilia, after hearing his sincere feelings, asks for a little time to settle the marriage issue first. After meeting Soleil, she finally makes her decision. In the end, Cecilia returns and confesses her feelings to Yoki, accepting his love. And both of them finally becoming a couple and enjoying a peaceful moment together. And that was a season 1 of There Was a Cute Girl in the Heroes Party, So I Tried Confessing to Her. Subscribe for more anime recap like this one.